It's the first of the month, and that means that Spellbinders new kit clubs are available. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and last month several of them sold out pretty quickly, so I wanted to get this video up for you right away so you can see if there's anything that you're interested in. This month I'm sharing the Quick and Easy card kit, the small die of the month, the stitching die of the month, that's the new kit that was added in last month, the embossing folder of the month, the 3D embossing folder of the month, and the glimmer kit of the month. There are also a couple of add-ons that I am going to share today as well. Now that's a lot of product and that's a lot of cards. So let's jump right in by first taking a look at the Quick and Easy card kit of the month and then use it to make some cards. The Spellbinders Quick and Easy card kit of the month has everything you need to make some quick and easy cards, including pattern paper sheets. This month, everything is very spring, light colors, really cute designs. We have some gingham, some sunshine lemons, little flowers, and lots of other versatile pages that you can use in a lot of different ways. The other thing about the card kit of the month, they now have the cardstock cut down into A2. This was the first thing that I always do with cardstock in a card kit. I always cut it down to A2, or at least half of an 8.5 by 11. They also have plenty of embellishments in this kit, including sequins, chipboard stickers. These are some of my favorites because they offer dimension and really cute designs. There's also puffy stickers, 4 sheets of flat stickers, including an entire sheet of sentiments. So these just make it very easy to make some quick and easy cards. They will come together really nicely because everything is color coordinated and image coordinated. There's lots of die cuts as well. These die cuts are always my favorite because they come in so many different designs. You get 2 of each design, and so that you don't have to hoard any. And of course, they have a couple of card ideas, inspiration, and your list of supplies. So let's get started with a quick and easy card. I have 3 pieces of pattern paper and a piece of cardstock. So I cut my pattern paper down to 4 by 5.25, and then I'm using that same technique that I used in my last video talking about pattern paper, which is the gallon, quart, and pint. So I have a gallon of the suns, I have a quart of the lemons, and then I have a pint of this yellow pattern paper. And that's a really easy way to pull together 3 patterns. The thing that they all have in common is that yellow color. So that makes it really easy. I grabbed a chipboard sticker and I noticed that it perfectly coordinates with the other lemons that are not yellow. So then I'm going to grab another chipboard sticker. This one is yellow lemons and a cute little singular lemon on the side. And that's it. Super quick and easy. That's the idea of these card kits, is that you don't have to do any stamping or die cutting if you don't want to. So let's do another one of these. As you know, one of my favorite ways to use up these die cuts that I love so much is to create a grid. So I'm going to put a piece of cardstock down on a piece of pattern paper. It's a little bit smaller than 4 by 5.25 because I wanted to see that little bit of a pattern behind it. I'm going to start with the sentiment that's going to go right in the center. That's a chipboard sticker. And then I'm just going to move die cuts around until I find an assortment of different colors, different shapes, and different design ideas. So I have a basic grid, and then I'm going to break outside the grid. That's always fun to do. So the butterfly, that little butterfly, is breaking outside the grid. And I'm going to layer a couple of them on top of each other just to add a little bit of extra dimension and a little bit of interest there. These cards are so easy to put together and they're so much fun, and they start to use up some of those die cuts because you just get so many in one kit and it would be a shame to waste them. I'm going to add a few puffy stickers as well to break outside that grid too. I noticed that I kind of have a grid in the center, so I did move them around a little bit so that there's, it was just driving my brain crazy to not have them kind of centralized as well. And again, a really quick and easy card, no die cutting, no stamping, but has a lot of thought put into it, and I love all the colors and designs. Once again, I'm going to cut a piece of the pattern paper down to 4 by 5.25, and this time I'm going to use the die cuts that are a little bit larger. So I have a bunny, a basket, and this little duck or goose. I don't know. So I'm going to pop up the sentiment sticker on a piece of foam tape. And I like how they're both kind of holding the basket. And then that sentiment sticker says Happy Easter. And I'm going to add a few chipboard flowers. This was a really easy Easter card to pull together. And there are lots of Easter elements if you want to use them like that in this kit. You could also just use them as spring or hello or thank you. As some of you already know, this quick and easy card kit no longer contains stamps and dies, but this month there is a die that is available a la carte. So let's take a look at that as well. So if you're missing the die in the card kit of the month, this one goes along perfectly with it. It's called Spring Tea, and you can create a little cup of tea with a little bunny and flowers inside. So in order to create the teacup that has the sentiment, I'm going to cut both out together. I'm going to make sure that I'm not overlapping my dies at all, and then I'm going to tape them into place so that they run through the die cut machine and then cut out the little sentiment that says Happy Spring. Then a little piece of pattern paper on some cardstock, and now it's time to put together the bunny. The teacup is popped up on foam tape. That gives me a little room to figure out where I want to put things. And I have the foam tape at the bottom of the teacup, allowing me lots of room at the top to tuck in the flowers and the bunny. The teacup also has a little handle, so I'm just going to glue that right alongside there. And then the bunny, the eye and the cheek, you can place cardstock behind the die cut to create the different colors for those. The secondary ear can be placed in a lot of different ways. It's super cute. And the little hand can be placed on the edge of the teacup. The pinwheel flower is, I cut out 2 different colors so that I could have 2 different colors going around in the center there. And then there are also these little small daisies, little tiny flowers, and some leaves. So I'm just going to sprinkle those around that larger flower as accents. They also have little flower centers, and you can see on those little flower dies, there'll be an indentation that will be exactly where the flower center can sit perfectly and be in the center of that flower. So they make it as easy as they can to create the little images with these tiny little dies. Again, I'm going to take one of those stickers in order to have another sentiment, and I'm going to pop that up. And it just is such a cute little design, and you could definitely do this for other cards as well, like get well soon kind of thing, or just sending hello. I think this next one might be my favorite. The stitching die of the month is so cute and so much fun. And there is an add-on die that is also available. So let's take a look at those and make a card. The stitching die this month features a pocket and then lots of flowers and elements that you can tuck inside that pocket. Now there are stitching elements on the flowers and on some of the stems that you can put inside. There's also a stitching element on the pocket itself, but there are also leaves and stems, and those do not have any stitching elements. So not every single thing requires stitching. There's also little sentiments that say happy spring and happy birthday. The 2 different size flowers are those easy stitches, long stitches that go from the center to the edge of the flower. I'm just trying to get an idea of how many things I'm going to need to stuff inside this little pocket. So the pocket, I decided to stitch with some gold string. I really like the way that it turns out, and I cut the pocket out of that dark blue cardstock that came inside the card kit of the month. So you can see I'm just doing a regular back stitch for this. Usually with the Spellbinders, you do more of this kind of stitch where it's a long stitch from the center to the edge, and they have a little debossed detail to show you exactly where to put the stitch lines. Now with a leaf or this type of thing, there's a lot of different ways you could stitch it. I decided to go down the center of one and out to the sides. For the pocket, I am again going to place foam tape at the bottom of the pocket. I want to leave nothing at the top. That gives me a lot of room to tuck things inside because these stems and the leaves kind of have long handles. So I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on the back of the stem and then just tuck it inside. And once you have that done, it's really easy to just fill in the open spaces with some other elements. And you can see I'm just lifting up the top of the pocket a little bit so that I can put things right behind there. Now, the little stems have circles at the end. They are perfect for putting a dot of glue on and then topping with a stitched flower. So you can see I did a couple of different colors on the different flowers, and it just makes such a fun card. Now let's check out the small die of the month and use that to make a card. The small die this month has a number of different elements to make a pattern. So there's a diamond, there's kind of a teardrop shape, there's kind of that ornamental shape, and a hexagon. And they have interior pieces that you can cut out as well as just the solid image. So I could put a solid image behind all of those little die cuts. I chose to just let the color of the cardstock come through because I really like that bright yellow. It was also included in the card kit of the month. The other thing that this die set has is a bunch of tiny little flowers. Now, these are great for lots of different cards, and you can layer them up. Most of them have at least 2 layers to them, so you can have a bunch of different colors. You can play along with your pattern and your colors. So I just put together a simple card with 1 flower per element that I had cut out, and then I put some of those teeny tiny little daisies around the outside. I know a lot of people like to use tweezers for these little elements. I prefer to use an embellishment tool, especially for the centers of flowers. I just think it's a lot easier to work with for me. Just for me it is. And so that's what I'm going to use to put the flowers down, and then to put the flower centers down, I'm just using a little teeny tiny dot of liquid adhesive. It's a very strong liquid adhesive, so you don't need a lot for sure. And then I started to add a few more details to some of the flowers. You can mix and match a lot of these things together to create a layered look and to add color to your design. I decided I also wanted to add a few bits of flowers on top of some of the flowers that I'd already laid down, just to add another pop of a little bit of white, and then to use some of the flower centers that I had cut out in other colors besides the yellow. For the sentiment, I cut out a thinking of you banner, and those banners to the side there, those are the add-on to the stitching die. So I mentioned I was going to show you that. I didn't show it to you. So just so you know, there are several more sentiments that you can pick up with one of those banner or sentiment strip dies. I did add some sequins just for a little bit of shine. Embossing folders are one of my absolute favorite card making supplies, and I have a lot of videos with a lot of techniques, but let's take a look at a simple way to use the embossing folder of the month, and then a more detailed, fun way to use the 3D embossing folder of the month. The embossing folder of the month has really pretty tiny flowers and leaves. I used one of the A2 pieces of cardstock from the card kit and embossed it. You don't have to do anything special. You don't even have to spritz it with water to get really great detail with these embossing folders from Spellbinders. I did cut this down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 so I could mat it on some off-white cardstock. I have never really used off-white very much before, and I've been using it lately, and I absolutely love it. So I'm going to use a sticker that just says a little hello, and then I'm going to pop up on some foam tape one of the die cuts from the card kit of the month. So everything really can work very well together. And then just add a little chipboard sticker at the top with a little owl and a couple of chipboard stickers of flowers around it. And that's just a really easy way to create an interesting background without doing much of anything at all. For the 3D embossing folder of the month, just check out that design. It is amazing. So I used it on a piece of the dark blue cardstock. Now, if you've ever seen Simon Hurley use his Lunar paste and do this technique, you will know exactly what I'm doing right now. Just take a little bit of the Lunar paste and dab it on with your finger over the area of the embossed cardstock that you want to cover. This is so much fun. I had never tried this before, but I've seen him do it several times, and I thought, I have Lunar paste and I have a beautiful embossed background. I might as well give it a whirl. So I am just taking a little bit of the Lunar paste out and putting it on my glass mat, and then taking it onto my finger and then dabbing with my finger. If you don't like to get messy and dirty, you could use a dabber. but I feel like I have more control with my finger, and I have a feeling that's why he does it that way too, because you can get into small places, you can get exactly what you want covered, and so you can see that the Lunar paste is really metallic and shiny and shows up really beautiful on dark colors of cardstock especially. You can use it on white and light colors of cardstock too, but just check out the shine that you get on those dark colors of cardstock. So I just used a few colors of the Lunar paste. I'll have those linked down below as well. And I'm going to go back over that center of that flower with a little more yellow, just add little hints of yellow here and there on the flower centers. Again, really easy to do, but check out that shine, the dimension from the embossing folder. And then I used one of the sentiments. It says happy birthday, cut it out with that little sentiment strip. And I used some gold mirror cardstock from Spellbinders for that and for the background. Now let's check out the Glimmer Kit of the month. The main foil plate in this month's Glimmer Kit of the month is this bunch of tulips growing with leaves and stems. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is large enough that it could fit on a horizontal A2 card or maybe even a 5x7 depending on how you cut it down. So this is how I like to do my foil. I tape it down in the back so that I get no movement, and it just came out gorgeous. And I believe that that pink is the color that comes in this month's kit, but you'll definitely get a roll of foil no matter what the color is. So I'm going to use the sentiments as well. I wanted to make sure that I foiled everything that came in the kit. And again, with that taped down foil, I got a really good impression of the sentiments and beautiful foiling. So now I'm going to cut out the main sentiment, and I am also going to trim down the bottom of those tulips, and then I'm going to hold this whole thing in place with some pixie tape on the sides. I'm going to use my sketch marker aqua brushes. I've foiled this on a Strathmore Bristol smooth cardstock so that when I go into watercolor it, I will have no problems moving the watercolor around. The great thing about the foil is that it acts as a resist. So you can use the lines of the foil as lines to hold your watercolor in place a little bit. You may still get a little bit on the outside. I'm sure I did like a million times, but I'm just doing some very basic coloring here. I want all of the tulips to be shades of pinks and slight orange coral colors. It just looks so gorgeous, foiled and then watercolored. And this was super easy to do. No shading and blending. I am just taking the color from the bottom and moving it with a water brush towards the top of the tulip. So really, really easy, but check out how you get those gradients of colors if you just add the marker to certain parts of the flower and then pull out that color with the water brush. Again, on the Strathmore Bristol smooth cardstock, this is really easy to do. The color moves beautifully. You could use any watercolors for this. Any ones that you have. I just happen to love these markers because they're so easy to use, and I love the colors as well. So for the leaves and stems, I'm putting color at the top and the bottom and then pulling the color towards the center just to add a little bit of a different look here. Once I'm all done with the watercoloring, I'm going to pull off the pixie tape, and then I'm going to place the die down. Now the die only cuts the top of this image. So what I did was then go in and cut the sides where the die cut the top. So if that makes sense, I'm cutting the sides so that I have a piece that I can adhere down. Now this is so that I can pop it up if I wanted to, or like I'm going to do here, adhere it over some pattern paper, which is then adhered over some cardstock. So you can do this a bunch of different ways. You could use that die for a partial die cutting, which is I think probably what it's really meant for. But I really liked this look where the tulips are on the bottom, then I have my pattern paper, and then the foil sending flowers and a smile. There are so many different options available with the Spellbinders kit clubs, and there's ways to bundle and save some money as well. So I'll link to all the clubs that I used down in the YouTube description box below the video. I'd love to hear what your favorite club was this month. Let me know in the comments below. YouTube thinks you might like to watch this video next. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Sort of straight. Ish. It's straight-ish. So the month. I don't know. What else? I think that's everything. Wouldn't be surprised if I forgot something though, because that's a lot.